like your genius, one's because they didn't have writing back then. So one's genius was measured by how much they can memorize. Like apparently, us like most of the people back then
They can memorize a lot.
They can memorize a lot. They had these memory techniques. Like it was a mnemonic way of memorizing. Like it's kind of how with like the months and days or whatever, or the months of the year, like how this one's the 31st like month of the with 31 days, this one's 30 days. So it's like that's a basic example of a mnemonic way of learning. And so they had these techniques. So apparently most people could do that, but your genius was measured by how, on what scale you could do it at. Because some people, this dude memorized the whole population of his Roman city, like a city in Rome, by
all
name,
the names, yeah.
Every name. And he couldn't study writing. He just
had the pronunciation.
He asked them their name, he got it, and he remembered it through a mnemonic way of learning. So you could ask him 2 years later and he'll know the person's name.
Like there's this other technique I wrote, like this isn't anything with mnemonic or anything, but it's I read this in a book. It says that whenever you meet someone, you should ask them like not only the name, but what they like have a conversation with them.
Yeah.
So that you build that connection. Meaningful. Like so that you remember that person. Oh, this guy, he likes or he's from Spain, or he likes this ice cream or whatever. So that you remember it that way as well.
Yeah, so. the book I think talks about that too, and that's important. But like back to antiquity, they were saying like this dude in like Thailand or something. I think this is modern. But these people are like what you call like participants of the World Memory Championship.
Yeah,
I'll get into that. It's gnarly, but this dude memorized a 56,000 word like a Chinese English dictionary. He memorized that whole thing, and he used his body parts as a tool, his bones, as a tool of like remembering it, because there's this thing called the memory palace. When you're trying to remember something in this mnemonic way of learning, like there's something called a memory palace, and it just has to be something a place that you know really well. So your household, like your childhood house you grew up in, like you can close your eyes and look left and right, and like you can walk through it basically, and you know where every room is, every detail is.
Like that, I've had that.
Yeah,
like, at night, whenever
your house like that.
Like, so, at night, whenever you need to go to the bathroom, like you just know exactly where the door is, exactly where everything
and so
is.
You have a memory palace, and you make certain loci, which is like a locus, and you can basically place an image there. So like if you want to memorize a to-do list, like say you have to get cottage cheese from the grocery store, along with other items, you kind of you use your house. Say the first time you're doing this, you use your house as a memory palace, and you basically close your eyes and walk through your house like in a certain path. So you go upstairs, you go to your room, and you walk through your house, and you put like an image, a visionary, like very visual image, with try to put sense, or try to put all your senses in, like feeling, hearing, like color. You can make the image talk, like anything that will help it stick to your mind, or make it like something sexual, or funny, because that helps people remember more. And so you kind of walk your path through the house, and you put images in certain places, and so you could remember long lists like that, like up to 100 words. And that's what these people in the World Memory Championship do. Like they have to remember like thousands of words, and they have to like remember the order of like 2 decks of cards or something, maybe more. To become a grandmaster, you have to memorize the order of 10 decks of cards.
Yeah.
It's just like gnarly stuff. It sounds useless, and like for when you utilize it that way, it's kind of just like what are you doing? You're putting in that much energy into that. Like it's not, it doesn't make any sense. Like go do something more productive or use it to something more productive, which like that's completely true. And like, so that way of memorizing is like what they do in the memory championship, and it's pretty crazy. But this one dude, he's a grandmaster in like memory. He basically sparked his interest in that kind of stuff when his college teacher, his professor, on the first day of school, he was a freshman, and his every student came, he took the roll call, the teacher did, and everyone who was absent, he said their first, middle, and last name, their address, their phone number. Like he knew everything, and by memory. And like he plays that trick apparently every year to his new students, because he knows that he's like good at that type of thing, like memorizing with using those techniques. And so that sparked the student's interest. He's like, what the hell? His name's Tony Buzan. He has a bunch of books and stuff, but basically he's like went up to the professor. He's like, I'm magical. I'm not gonna tell you how I'm doing it. And then later in the year, he's like, no one noticed like that I actually did this, or no one came and asked me about it.
Like no one cared about it.
Yeah, but this is how I do it. And he showed them this thing called the major system. I'm not gonna get into that, but it was just this like basic way of starting off. And he's like, holy crap, like this isn't something magical. I could do this. So he just went to the library, got a bunch of books on that stuff, and asked him like what I should do, what I should read. And he basically got good at it. And later in the year, later in his college career, he got so good at it, he could memorize his notes. Like he could memorize a whole study guide and then ace his tests. He started to ace all his tests because he could memorize it. And like some people would say like, well, are you actually learning then? Because like if you're just memorizing everything, like what do you actually learn?